Good morning. I hope you are all having a wonderful morning. You've all got your cup of coffee beside you and are ready to spend just a little time in the Word and with the Lord and doing pretty pictures. And hey, that makes for a good start to the day, in my opinion. I just want to mention two things as we start out. First of all, I want to apologize because the background video has disappeared. So I don't know what happened to it. I kind of Googled Mr. Google, and all he said is that maybe there was a glitch somewhere in the YouTube system. So I will re-record a background video this weekend. And second of all, I want to remind you that this is your time with the Lord, and I am really trying to train myself to just see what the Lord has in mind for me to sketch and doodle in any particular morning. And sure, that involves things I've done before and things that I'm experienced in, but it also will I'm working on some other pieces where it just involves a lot of experimentation. So, don't be afraid to step out of your bubble and do whatever the Lord is showing you. So, without further ado, today's verse is Psalm 16, verses 8 and 9. I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure. And I love that rejoice and that joy word, and that just always makes for happy jumping ladies in my mind. Let's zoom in just a little bit more here. There we go. Sorry about the wiggling camera. And let's just get started. I wrote some notes down this morning as I was contemplating this verse. Jesus, always before me, always beside me is what the scripture actually says. Or I'm sorry, what does it say here? I have set the Lord always before me, and he is at my right hand. I shall not be shaken. In my mind, what that means is he's beside me. He's my foundation, so he holds me up, and he is also whom I look up to. And beside me can be left, right, front, back, just totally enclosing me. Therefore, always an important word in Scripture, my heart is glad, and all of me rejoices. Even my flesh dwells secure. And that's kind of odd terminology for us these days, but to me that means that on top of my heart being peaceful and glad and rejoicing, it means good health for mind, body, and soul. And I'm just a big advocate for that. So, I did contemplate doing something other than a little jumping lady, but I decided to do a jumping lady anyway. So if that is, you can do whatever you want. Let me just put it that way. So I have her little head, and actually what I'm going to do first, because I want to make sure that she is really truly rejoicing, I'm going to put her little pantaloons, if you want to call them that, or I don't know, that's what I call them. I think there's another word for them, but it's not coming to me right at this moment. So I am going to make those big with her little feet coming out to the sides. And then go up and do her little top here. And her arms are, of course, rejoicing. If this reminds you of day one, it kind of reminds me of day one too. But sometimes I just can't get beyond doing my little pantaloons, and I'm actually going to just resketch that arm just a little bit, because I know I'll be happier when I'm done if I do that. And I'm going to move her head is kind of flying right now. So I'll move that down just a little bit, along with her neck. That feels too far down to me. My gosh. But I do say in that sketchbook that, hey, in my sketch class, hey, if I'm not happy with a sketch, I'm not a happy camper. So there, that is, I think, good enough for me. Oh, I'm just going to put her little doodle hair in later, okay? So there's the beginning of my sketch. And I'm going to take a big fat brush and a smaller skinnier brush and just a little flat brush, and I'm going to actually brush in some background behind her, and I think I'm gonna do that a little bit differently. I think I'm gonna grab a couple of my sticks here and just actually color back there. That'll make it harder for me to put that line in, I will admit right away, and I'm not sure I need a whole lot down here because I love the way that this orange came out in the background. And if you can't wait for this weekend, it's very simple. You just put a splotch of paint on it with a big, thick, white, yucky brush. Chip brush is actually what you call them, or a big fat brush, and then just stencil out some of that. I'm usually pretty careful to keep that background light, so I'll just put some color in there. I'm going to add just a little darker. This is, I think, Peacock. The first one I'm sure was turquoise, one of my favorites. And then, I guess I don't, for some reason I'm missing sky up in my box. Maybe I don't have sky. That could be. And then I'm going to take this big fat wide brush and just brush in that background a little bit. You know, it's going to pick up some of that pencil and blur it. But that's okay. Just decide that's going to be okay with you. And I'm going to stick, sorry about my chubby hand in there. I am going to just put a little more color back there because we lost a little bit of it. And, you know, a couple of scribbles and some splatters. I often go in after I'm off camera and put some splatter in too. See how much darker these are when the surface is wet too. So I don't need that distraction up by her head. Oh no, she has a blue face. I don't know that I can get that out of there. There, that worked. Probably not one of my better teaching techniques, but hey. I drew that over to kind of indicate a shadow, and this leg is ever so slightly behind this leg. And I like that. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna set that brush back. I wiped it off, set it down here. I want to take a little orange and yellow. Oh, didn't that happen the other day too? Oh, I should do that before I put them away. I'm going to make just a little reminder to myself to do that. And I'm just putting a little bit of paint on here. And I think because I was gonna do some little things with this, but with a flat brush. But you know what? I'm glancing over here and I see circles, so I'm gonna kind of keep with the circle theme. And I am just going to put some. I think linear came to my mind, but it didn't turn out that way. There's probably, you know, if I had pulled out my Posca markers, I don't know where those, that would actually be a way better tool for doing these little dots, but that's okay. Let's get some. Pink. Let's get some magenta. That is actually in there. These are much better than those dots. Those dots are not passing grade, in my opinion. And you know, some people can really get into this part and enjoy it, and yeah, it's not my favorite part. I don't find it relaxing, but some people do. I'm just going to, what I'm kind of doing here, what I often like to do is I'm doing positive space over here, and over here it's a negative space. So I think that always lends kind of a fun feel to my work. And I'm going to add a little pink for her little bodice up here. Nice. And I think I'm going to draw this line across here too, which is going to let those kind of just mix together a little bit up here. And let's get a little blush for her arms and stuff, although honestly I wouldn't have to color them in. You know, I was shaken before our little pickleball league match yesterday, and I just kept on having to think to myself, you know what, the Lord has this whether I win or lose or play well. And you know, I get nervous, not because I get nervous because I don't want to let my partner down. Isn't that kind of funny? It's really not funny, but you know, having the Lord before us and being able to just focus on his name a little bit, even in the midst of being out, you know, on the pickleball court. I mean, that's where, yeah, that's where sometimes it's, you know, those unexpected places is almost the most fun. Giving him credit for some really good shots, and I just couldn't believe how nervous I was. And that's exactly when you need to pull out that name Jesus, you know. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for my little sketch this morning. I am going to take some of my scribble stick and just put some scribbles on here, or splatters on here. I like that. And maybe some orange splatters over here on the other side. Just contributes to that little joyful feel. I'm going to dry it for 1 second and then go back in with my pencil. Okay, that isn't really very dry, but my promise is 10 minutes, and I think I'm already over that. Here's her little hat. What did you think of that? That's pretty fun. And because I did that, I think, let's go back in and do, I can't really outline her face while it's so wet, so I'm not going to try that. But I will bring in some of these little shadows. Ooh, I just broke my pencil. Not hard to do with these. Hard to do from this angle. If I wasn't on camera, I would turn my notebook, and there she is. Fun. God bless your day. Jesus is before us. He's beside us. He's our foundation. We look up to him. God bless. Toodles.